Since Andor is over, we had to talk him down off the ledge. Seems the only way that we can do that is Ralph Macchio Movie, where Macchio don't matter. Welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Half-Ass Movie Podcast, a show where we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Portress, and joining me today, his hair is twice as convincing as Joe Pesci. Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
Yeah, because mine is all real.
What? No, you're trying to... No. No. The illusions are broken.
How old is he supposed to be in this movie? His character?
I mean,
it sure seems like they're playing him like he's younger than he is.
Well, yeah, there's no way he's like, because he looks like he's at least 55.
Yes,
at least that old, if not a little bit older. Again, say what you will about the hairpiece, it does kind of disguise things at least a little bit. It's a bad hairpiece, but it does young him up a touch, yeah. And we're still in an era of Pesci where that's still kind of acceptable, still okay enough, and we're like, it's Pesci. What are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll talk about that, of course. And Bruce is out this week. I hear he's at like a Fred Ginn fans convention that's going on this weekend. So that makes sense.
Oh, Fred Gwynn, we hardly knew ye.
Yeah, here and gone, and well, he was rather old when he died, but still, he left a hell of an impact and everything. We'll talk about that. But on HMP this week, everybody, we continue Mucho Ralph Macchio Marathon with My Cousin Vinny from 1992.
I totally disagree with what you said at the top of the show, that he is inconsequential in this movie. I think that you absolutely need to have him in this, because there isn't for 1 second of a moment do you think that he actually committed the murder. And I think that if you were to bring someone else into this movie, I think that you might have that question. Like let's say it's Edward Norton. like immediately you're like, nah, he might have done it.
Maybe. You know? Yeah, that kid's a little sneaky McSneakerson. I don't think that I can trust this one. But yeah, we kind of have a very doe-eyed, huh?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Stuff like that. We'll get into all of it. But before we do, why don't you do us a big old giant favor and subscribe to this program over at YouTube, youtube.com, and check it out, Half-Ass Movie Podcast. We're up there. And not only putting out this show so you can listen to it on YouTube form if you don't have access to a podcatcher of any sorts like that, we also put up other things, including my most recent review for Mission Impossible: The Last Reckoning. 8 Mission Impossible movies over 30 years, man. Well, damn near 30 years, let's put it that way.
Well, there is that long chunk because after Mission Impossible 2, nobody wanted to see a Mission Impossible again for like 10 years.
No, 3 came out a little bit quicker than you might imagine, but that was also 3 was your, we really got into Tom Cruise being a Scientologist. That was his jump the couch era.
Yep.
So people were kind of like, we need to put the brakes on Tom Cruise for a little while. And then we took a couple years off and Ghost Protocol came around and kind of shook everything up again. We're like, oh, okay, we all right. We fine. But I will say this, no spoilers or anything, but Mission Impossible, it harkens through all the different movies and stuff like that, which is very fun. It's a little overlong, but if you enjoy the Mission Impossible movies, you do need to see this one because it rounds everything out, and hopefully it does certainly feel like they've put a nail in the coffin finally, and I hope that they do and continue to keep that said coffin closed.
Yeah, I mean, how much more CGI can you put on Tom Cruise's face so that he still looks like he's 40?
Well, luckily this time, it's not really there. We get to see old.
Really?
You see old Tom Cruise in this for sure.
Really? But is everything a glamour shot of him like it usually is?
No, there's some moments where he doesn't look. There's some moments where he don't look great, and you do go you do kind of go, yeah, this needs to be. And I think they're kind of doing that on purpose a little bit, just going like, hey man, he getting a little long in the tooth at this point. You can 60 years old is a rough time to be rocking and rolling off of jet planes and stunts and all that kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You might want to live to see 70.
Yeah. Congratulations, Tommy. You've done it. Let's throttle back a bit there, sir.
But you know what the really cool thing is because of this year, and this will be the first year that they do it, this is the first Academy Award for stunts that they will have.
Oh, that's nice.
You know who's gonna win this?
Of course.
He gonna win. This first Oscar will be for stunts.
Of course.
unbelievable that we've had. I mean, what an amazing actor, but we'll finally give it to him for stunts. Academy, you should be ashamed of yourself at this point.
Look, man, and I couldn't stand Tom Cruise forever, but it was Lindsay actually who brought it up to me. She's like, he never half-asses a role. Like, you might not like him, you might not like the movies he's in, but he is literally giving everything he can to the movie. And she's totally right. Totally right.
Homie does not quit and everything. So check out that review. That'll be up on the YouTube page. Like and subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. And leave a comment. I did a video about popcorn because I am currently just doing some substituting for middle school kids. And they found out that I have a YouTube channel, unfortunately, somehow. I have a fairly findable last name, I suppose.
How many portraits are
not
there?
Not a ton.
Right.
But so they found out and they were like, oh, Mr. Portrait, we're going to get popcorn. You're going to make popcorn? Make us popcorn. So I finally made them all one, and I put a video out just kind of, saying, hey, look at the big giant bag I got. And someone commented on that video, and it was Ashley, and she said, that was good popcorn, and sorry about the behavior we had in class.
That's so cute.
Actually, I thank you for that because Third Block was a menace. They were a little bit on the wild side. They did not make it all the way through Beethoven, where the other two pretty much got through it all. They enjoyed it, but Third Block was wild and crazy. But it's the end of the school year. I understand. I get it.
Those Third Block kids are the worst.
Lord have mercy, they are. Anyways, leave a comment over there on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button and all the notifications, all that kind of good stuff. We really appreciate it. And if you want to be a real dirty baby, head on over to patreon.com/HMP pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. In the Dinger Zone this week, we discuss these. And I hope you guys listen to the Dinger Zone before you listen to this one because we're going to tell you the movies that you get to vote on for next month. We have genre Meryl Streep movies. Tell us a little bit about that one so we understand what that is, Sean.
Meryl Streep is in a million different movies. She's always playing someone different. And for a while, I want to say it's mostly in the 90s. She was doing a lot of genre action movies and horror movies and stuff. And that's what we would be doing for 4 weeks is that style of Meryl Streep movie.
And I think we didn't discuss it ahead of time, but if it's cool with you, I want to I give a category to our next person that we vote for Burt Reynolds, and I want to put it call it Burt Reynolds Drives.
That's pretty good.
So it's just Burt Reynolds kind of car movies and stuff like that.
Well, there's like 17 of them.
Exactly,
so that's good.
Plenty to choose from. Up next, we got Margot Robbie. Who doesn't like that lady right there? Brian Cox is our next choice, as well as Joan Cusack and Eddie Murphy. Talk about a wild and diverse line here and everything, but we want you guys to tell us what you want us to cover. So that's going to be patreon.com/HMP. Join up at any level. Get the whole stuff. You get the whole bang and boodle, man, because it's not one of those things where like, well, you got to put $20 if you want to vote for stuff. It's even $1. And the best part is even if you do down to that dollar level, you get your name on the credits over there at the YouTube page and everything. So when I put up a new video, your name is up there as a producer of this show, a dirty baby, if you will. And you can show that around to everybody and brag to them about how you're a supporter of the arts and a big fancy muckety muck and everything. So do that, man. We really appreciate it. Patreon.com/HMP.
Don't be a Third Block baby. Be a dirty baby.
No kidding. Well, we are on our Mucho Ralph Macchio marathon here. Today's movie is Cousin Vinny. Let's get into it. Here's the IMDb plot line for My Cousin Vinny. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. 2 New Yorkers accused of murder in rural Alabama while on their way back to college. There needs to be a comma in there. On their way back to college, call in the help of one of their cousins, a loudmouth lawyer with no trial experience. This is written by David Larner, who wrote Ruthless People, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and also since then the 2019 movie The Hustle with Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. That was essentially a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, so he gets the credit for that. Certainly not as good, obviously. But Lerner's best work is the work that he doesn't even want to take credit for. The movie that Nat X put at his number 2 movie for his top 5 reasons not to see Whoopi Goldberg's new movie, The Associate, Eddie, a movie where Whoopi Goldberg becomes an NBA coach. I wonder why Dale Lerner would not want to be credited for this movie. Can't imagine somebody doing that. This is directed by Jonathan Lynn, who also did Clue. Everybody loves Clue. Nuns on the Run, Sergeant Bilko in 96 with Steve Martin, The Whole Nine Yards with Bruce Willis and Matt Perry. And get this, a Beyonce video.
What?
Even I was shocked at that one. I'm just like, one of these things is not like the other. One of the things, starring Joe Pesci, Ralph Macchio, Marissa Tomei, Mitchell Winfield, Fred Gwynn, Lane Smith, Bruce McGill, and Austin Pendleton. Man, this movie was a staple on television back in the day.
Oh, was it?
Absolutely. Huge staple. The funny part is like watching this again now after, just so many years of seeing it on television. I'm like, oh, this is a very rated R movie as far as language goes.
Oh, yeah.
Because they televisioned it up pretty good to where, at least from my memory back then. I was probably a little bit younger than, whatever, but I couldn't quite tell. But this one, I'm just like, oh wow, yeah, a lot of profanity in this movie. Lots
and lots and lots. Yes.
Which honestly, if you and I think that's why it probably did so well for television, is that you could just take out the profanity and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you take that out, you're good. I mean, you don't even see the murder happen.
Yeah, there's no real violence. There's no nudity. It's that's it.
No.
Just Joe Pesci just dropping some and Marissa Tomei dropping some F-bombs, no doubt.
Yeah, it's a shame it's not rated R for nudity, this movie, though.
What a world. So we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. But I got a decent amount of notes here because I've seen this movie many a times, as I would imagine the majority of folks out there probably have. You've got a history with this one, I would guess, yeah?
Oh, yeah, man. I saw this in the movie theater. This is one of those movies, too, where like... when you come back every couple of years, you notice something new about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I probably haven't watched this movie in 10 years. And so there's a lot of things that I noticed this time that I didn't notice the last time I had seen it. And also, your worldview changes over time, like mine has. And when I first saw this movie, I really took to the kids, like the kids who get arrested, because I saw this movie when it came out in the movie theater. Well, 94 is when I moved to Charlotte. And, I had a thick New England accent. I know I still kind of have one, but not like I used to. And so, everybody looks at you sideways when you speak a certain way, even in a big town, even in a place like Charlotte or Atlanta, if you have a thick enough accent. And so I learned pretty quickly, like, oh, I can totally hide my accent, like, as much as I want to. This is my natural speaking voice, but if I want to, I can country it up.
He throws a couple consonants in there and you'd never know the difference.
Dag nabbits. The further out I go from the city, the more southern my accent will get.
It just happens. It's like it goes on like time. Like if you cross a certain meridian, it just changes.
And so, or if I'm speaking to someone on the phone and I hear that they have a really thick southern accent, I will what's it called?
Code switch. Yeah. I had the opposite of that. Being the kid from the South and everything, we once went up to like a little camp, more or less, I guess you would call it, for lack of a better word, up in Buffalo. And so we're around a whole bunch of kids from New York and stuff like that. And so I could code switch like nobody's business because everyone who's heard me over the years, I can adapt my voice pretty well. So no one had a clue that I was like, when they found out I was from South Carolina, it blew minds. They were just like, awesome. He sounds like us. I'm just like, I'm just kind of doing the best approximatation and just chilling in. I'm like, I wasn't going hardcore into like, I wasn't trying to sound like Macchio in this movie or nothing like that. Or
sure,
but you code switch enough because you want to fit in with people and you want to get friends.
Right. And so seeing this movie, the first time I saw it, I really identified with the two boys who get arrested for murder. But now that, I've lived my life over these last 30 years, like I've been in the South for 30 years. I now identify with the people from town. and so there's a whole lot of like, oh, I see. They came to town thinking like, well, the kids came to town just wanting to have some fun.
Yeah.
But when Marissa Tomei and Joe Pesci show up, they think they're just going to be able to steamroll over all these local yokels. And I found myself getting like a little angry with them at first when they first show up to town, which had never happened before to me.
Oh yeah, it makes sense. So like I said, I kind of got some bullet notes here, and that kind of go through everything. First thing that kind of impressed me here is because remember we're looking at what I say 1992 with this, so we're like 2 years after Goodfellas and everything like that. So that's huge Pesci right there. So Joe Pesci's name above the title.
Yeah,
pretty sweet. I would
this
say.
This movie's the one also where he basically gets the stamp on his acting card of, oh, this guy can lead movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a couple of years, we were in a Joe Pesci world, just living in a Joe Pesci world where you get weird movies like Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag and The Super and like all these movies where like it's just Joe Pesci playing a like variations on scummy little guy who talks a lot.
Yeah. It's like it's so much so that surely there was many a casting call out there in the 90s for sure that was asking for a Joe Pesci type because they could not obviously get Joe Pesci but that certainly is a certain genre of character, if you will, and he kind of created that more or less, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, and also keep in mind, everybody forgets this now because it's kind of like the forgotten movie series just because of how problematic Mel Gibson is. But when Joe Pesci shows up in Lethal Weapon, everybody is impersonating Joe Pesci for years. They F you at the drive-thru. They F you at the drive. Like, I can't tell you how many times I heard that in the 90s. I heard it all the time.
What a great annoying character. Like,
he's great.
You hate him, but you love because you hate him. You love to hate him for sure. Cause you're like, this character is just a piece of garbage. And like, he's such a whiny little baby all the time, but it's so great because it's just Pesci.
Yeah.
The music itself sounds like a Travis Tritt ripoff.
Oh my God, man. It is an abomination, the soundtrack to this movie. We start off with fart rock right from the top and it just never lets go. And it's funny because it's like, I know that this is how you guys are trying to save money on your movie.
Yeah.
And maybe got you one more character actor. But if that's the case, just go with something classical, man. Like you don't need to have some local bar band that usually does covers of the Georgia Satellites. Like that's what this sounds like to me. It's awful.
Yeah. We paid for this catalog.
Oh, it's so
we
bad,
have access to it. Why not?
Even the incidental music in this movie sucks.
Yeah. These boys are in college. Show don't tell. That's what I always say. That was great cinematic storytelling right over there. We set that over top the crane. These guys are in college. See, a dumber thing would just be like, "Hey, man, we're checking out prospective colleges." No, they just showed us the backseat of that car with the little tyke, what's the little fucker called? That little cooler there to the right.
Oh yeah,
little tyke. I think it was called something like that. Little something.
Yeah.
Little Playmate. That's
Playmate.
It. That's it. Classic. Everybody had one of those. There's certain, I love those certain things where it's just like it's ubiquitous. Everybody had one. Everyone had one of those coolers. Everyone had like that orange pitcher that you put like Kool-Aid or something in. Everybody had that. Just, I love stuff like that. It just makes me so happy. Passing the log truck inappropriately on the wrong side of the thing. I was like, man, I already hate these kids. They should be arrested for that right there. It's like, oh, it's on the opposite side where I should be passing. Let me pass right here. I know it was the most pretty looking thing when they were, filming it, and they were like, we don't give a shit about the, what the actual law here is anything. But it drove me bananas. I'm like, they should be arrested right here, or at least pulled over and talked to.
I agree with you. I have my own problem with the log truck too, because they pass that truck on the left. They go through the double lines to go past it, and then later on in the film, when they're at the convenience store, a log truck passes, and I think it might be the same one, the other way. And I was like, why is that going the other way?
Well, that was his return route, and we just filmed that one too.
But I mean, there's logs on that truck too, and it's not to make the Brian Regan joke. Well, if you got logs, then you got logs. But like,
it's true
if it's the same truck, then it just didn't make much sense to me. But maybe I saw it wrong. I don't know.
No, that's about it. That's the Mandela effect for you.
Could be. Could be.
I wrote, I like the idea of turning on your radio and listening to the local music that you would never listen to if you weren't there. It's like, hey, I'm in Atlanta. Time to turn on the hip hop station. Is that how radio works?
I mean, I haven't listened to local radio in any form since podcasts came out, so I don't know.
I like that idea that we're just like, hey, we're now in Alabama. We're going to listen to whatever the Alabama radio is. We're not going to look for like the contemporary rock station on the Alabama radio. Whatever country ass thing that comes on the Alabama radio, that's what we're listening to.
I'm trying to remember what I used to do because I used to drive from Charlotte to Connecticut like once a year.
It's usually just like the seek button, these days, I would say.
I can't remember what I do.
As you're driving along, you kind of get out of the area and it's like nothing's going on. You just hit that seek button and it just kind of goes and finds the next, tunable station and everything and then plops you on that one.
Man,
unless you had the old school, but you weren't driving with one of those bad boys.
No.
The old, tune them in, just get it right at the right tune. I love that kind of stuff, though.
I can't remember.
My next one is Bruce friggin' McGill.
Yeah.
When Bruce McGill shows up on anything, I'm just happy. Comes in rocking an amazing mustache in this movie, just being who you signed him up to be. It's like all you had to do was show this man the script and say, show up with a mustache, done and done.
Also, the thing with Bruce McGill, with the exception of when he's D-Day in Animal House,
yeah,
he's just always the bad guy, right?
At least a tough guy.
Yeah. Because he, I guess he isn't the bad guy in this because, he's just the cop at the top of the movie that arrests them, but he thinks he's doing the right thing. And later on, he realizes he's wrong.
Yeah. It's not, well, yeah, I'd like to say it's not his fault. It kind of is, but it's, so that's the next one is not knowing the charges, comedy, gold, or bad.
Well, this movie has a lot of Three's Company DNA in it,
Yes. If John Ritter showed up in this, you would not be shocked at all. You'd be like, seems to make sense. Go on.
I think until everything is kind of fleshed out in this movie, there's a lot of mishearing and misheard stuff happening to the point where, because you've got the scene in the police station, then you've got the scene where Vinny first shows up at the prison.
Yeah.
And you've got that whole, that's all Three's Company.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Exactly. He might, Pesci might as well be Mr. Roper.
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm just going to do some stuff. He'll get it real good, boy.
And there's it's a long time, where the gay panic stuff and the prison rape jokes and stuff like that. That's happening for quite a while in this movie. Until we start getting to the actual trial of this movie, you can kind of just do something else while the movie's on.
Yeah.
But as soon as they start getting to the trial is really where it's like, oh, this is why I really love this movie.
There were some interesting things though, because when they're shooting all of the interrogation and stuff like that, they're using a lot of Dutch angles and stuff like that, are you're real in trouble now kind of vibe going on, which I thought for a movie that doesn't necessarily need that, it at least shows you that they were kind of thinking about stuff as they were doing it.
It's true. This movie it looks like a professional movie, which is so rare now that I take note oh, they're actually. Look at that. They thought enough about this shot that they actually have lights and flags and they have all of these things in this night shot. The fact that we've gotten here is just the saddest thing ever.
Yeah. We're just look, someone did a halfway decent job. Crazy.
Right. We're not just using existing light to light the scene so I can actually see everything that's happening in this scene. Amazing.
Fairly new and ideal at the time, My favorite was my favorite one line in this comes from Ralph Macchio, where he just goes, "Whoa, wait a minute!" It's very Tony Danza. Whoa, wait a minute. I was just like, man, Tony Danza's ears perked up and went just oh, I'm sorry, are they doing another one of these? I could be in this. So fun. But they said the title, which was great. I love when any movie goes through and just go, My Cousin Vinny. Like, I feel like the whole crowd should shout and cheer just as they are cutting into the next scene and everything. Like, yes, he said the word. Perfect.
I have a story about this. So
Okay.
if you, like, I'm on a movie set one time, and the name of the movie is about to be said by the character, and so the term for that is titular. It's
Yes.
like it's your titular line in the movie. Like, boy, I sure am tired of these Star Wars, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like the
this multiverse of madness. Ah!
right. Harry Potter and your Chamber of Secrets. So
They look right at the camera and wink at you.
yeah, they just buzz the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we said it. That's right.
But I'm on this movie set one time, and one of the ADs on the set goes, "Oh, guys, this is the scene where the titular line is." And I had been around, well, I won't get into all that, but like everybody on set starts saying the line, like, "Oh, this is the titular line in the movie." Like everybody has said that 100 times. Like, this is a term everyone knows, and it's one of the things about being on a movie set that makes me crazy is that, like, you've never heard that term before. You don't know that term. You just heard that term today, but now because you like it, because it's a cool term.
Yeah.
You now everybody's using it, and from that point forward, I never heard it again until like last year. And somebody said that last year, and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." And I just kept walking. Like, yeah, I know what that means.
You should have just kept trying to make it more of a thing. What, just like that needed to be your goal for every show, is just to be like, all right, I'm gonna start this titular line going around here, and just people need to get this back in their life. I will say this. We need more of this stuff going on, because I've certainly found out that sixth graders have a very limited vocabulary, and there's some things in there where I'm just like, how do you not know what this word is? So start using big words, everybody. Just I'm afraid for the culture. We're all going down if everybody just goes, what does narcissistic mean? Oh my God. You should know this by sixth grade, man.
Well,
and the fact that you all are little narcissists, I love you, but you're little turd balls.
There's a weird thing, man, because my kids, you know, when they were younger, they know everything now, but when they were younger, things would miss them.
Mm-hmm.
And it would surprise me from time to time. Like I would be talking to them and they go, I don't know what that word means, which we learned very early. And like, I taught them very early. Like, it's way better if you don't know something to say you don't know it.
Oh yeah.
Because to pretend that you do and then do it wrong is 1,000 times worse. And so in our family, if you don't know something, you say you don't know something. And they would do that from time to time, and it would surprise me. Like, certain things would surprise me. But then I would tell them, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay," and then move on.
My mom would tell me stories about when she was managing a doctor's office, where she would look at grown women who have nursing degrees and stuff and say, "Just give me a synopsis," and they would not know what that meant.
Oof, man, that's rough.
Yikes! So
that is rough.
I put down that no way in hell Vinny is listening to that music coming into town.
No way.
This guy listening to that, afraid not. I think this was what they were just like. Country folk would be afraid of this in 1992.
No way.
But it's pretty. It just seems like any song that you would have heard on the radio at that particular moment.
Maybe, but I mean, we're in the middle of grunge.
Yeah, I mean, but there were still a lot of like kind of hip hoppy, dancey sort of stuff certainly happening during that area, man. But I always forget how cruddy that car is.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is. It's for whatever reason, because it's, I don't know, the fancy little suit at the end there and everything. I always, for whatever reason, think his car is way better than it actually is. But you remember the car pulls up, it is just a piece of junk falling apart, just all super muddy. And I like at least how they're, throwing it into the story about, the car getting mud in the wheels and all that kind of good stuff, which again is another thing that really lends to the kind of character of the movie and everything, because that is something that some old country dude would be telling you.
For sure.
It's like, oh yeah, well it's not, and he even goes, it's like, yeah, that's not a real, like it's a figure of speech. It's not really in there. It's like, and again, they're showing us like we're not stupid. We're not these dumb people that you think we are. We got a different name for it, but that's just a colloquialism.
Well, and that's one of the well, first of all, I got two thoughts here. One is again sticking to his contract. It must be in Ralph Macchio's contract that he drives only old cars.
Oh yeah, he's an only beater guy. Man, if in this next movie he's driving something fancy, I'm gonna be pissed.
And second thing is, one of the things that drove me nuts about watching the movie this last time is that what the movie gets wrong is that the guy from New York is the one who inflicts violence on the guy when they're talking about the $200, like they're going to get into a fight. The thing that people from the North do not understand, and I don't know why no one understands this, because like just spend 5 minutes in the South and you'll understand it, is that in New York and anywhere in the North, like anywhere up north, you talk tough, you do a lot of stuff like, oh yeah, you want me to kick your ass, like stuff like that. If you try that on a Southern man, I don't care who that man is, that dude is going to take a swing at you. The second that you threaten him with physical violence, that Southern guy is going to take a swing at you. And it's the thing that movies and TV shows always get wrong. Because like people from New York are so tough, like this movie. Everybody from New York is tough. That is not true at all. Like people who live in New York are giant babies most of the time. Like occasionally you'll get the tough guy, but mostly they're giant babies.
I'm just screaming about it real mean at you, so you think I'm tough.
Right, exactly. And so when little Joe Pesci starts talking about kicking this guy's ass, the second he says that to him, that guy's taking a swing at Joe Pesci.
Yeah, it's a tiny little dude. And again, if some little, 5'2" guy came up to me talking about how he's going to beat my ass, I'd be like, all right, let's roll. I mean, I would like zero hesitation. Zero.
I learned very, very quickly. I learned that is going to talk, and you're going to talk about kicking somebody when you get swung at.
The best part is it kind of roboted you out a little bit there, and it sounded like we were like censoring all the filthy words you were saying. It's pretty great.
Very good.
I do love how in this is still a time in America where it's still wild to have a Chinese restaurant in a small town in the South. But now nearly every town in America has at least one Chinese restaurant. I mean, I don't care what town you're in. Go to one. Even small ones. Most of them got at least one Chinese restaurant. And they're all like, what kind of fancies do you take us for around here? No one's like that now. It's just like, yeah, we got a Chinese restaurant. I mean, which one do you want to go to? That one's got the buffet. That one's just a regular sit down. Like that's even small towns got that these days. But I love how we're still. It's not even sushi. Sushi would be more of the kind of mid-90s one where they'd be like, oh, if you don't have sushi, well, you're all kind of shit. This is just Chinese food.
One of the things that I miss about popular culture and television and movies is that there used to be the thing that was like the food that would make that would let you know, oh, these people, these big muckety mucks think they're better than us, and they eat this food. So like in the 80s, it was goat cheese pizza. And then, they're a little better than us. They eat goat cheese pizza. And then in the 90s, that became sushi, where like, well, they're eating sushi right now at some bar, like that kind of thing.
Raw fish. They're a bunch of weirdos.
And then in the 2000s, and like right up to like the 2010s, it was avocado toast. Yeah. Like everybody made fun of people for eating avocado toast. All three of these things, by the way, are delicious, and you should try them. They all are great. but like that thing is sort of missing. At least it's missing for me in culture of like the food that only rich people eat. Like the food that only people who are like elitists eat.
Somebody sit down a plate in front of you with a little bit of food on it, and you're like, where's the rest?
Well, there was that. There was that too. And I will tell you that I actually ate at a place like that last year. and I was so mad. I was so unbelievably mad.
Well, we've blown snot bubbles into this milk and then poured it over this. You're like, bro, stop it.
Dude, I swear to God, it was like the meals were in courses, and one of the courses was there was a little tiny like saucer, and in the middle of the saucer was like a dollop of jam.
Oh, Lord.
And they brought it out, and the people that I was with, they all were like, "Ooh, this is delicious." I was like, "I hate you all. I cannot wait to get out of here. This is awful. You should be ashamed of yourselves."
It's so vibrant. Always,
my God.
That's always one you'll hear.
Those are the people. Those are the people also that I realized that, like, where I put the connection together. Anyone who says that they're a foodie just means what they're telling you is they're a pain in the ass to eat with, and that is exactly how they describe themselves. And I was like, never again. That card has been revoked from you. You will never get to pick the place that I'm eating at again ever.
Now, I don't think that they normally let you share a cell with the guy that you committed a crime with.
Definitely not. That is a movie trope all day. Also, everybody is in Gen Pop at this prison except for those two.
Like, we sent the, like, they even make it a point of like, oh, we've relegated you off to the side here. There's no one else around, i.e. we couldn't afford extras to be putting in these cells.
Well, not only that, but like when they're playing basketball outside, everybody else is in another caged place. But those two are just playing basketball by themselves out there.
In their little uniforms, in their little prison uniforms with like Boy Scout belts and everything. You know what I'm talking about?
That is very cute because basically this is a thing where like it's supposed to harken back to see how backwards these people are, because this movie does, by the middle of the movie, it starts to turn the tables. But the first half of this movie is making the judgment that everything in the South is backwards and everyone's stupid. Mm-hmm. Right. But by the end of the movie, those tables start turning a little bit, where it's like, see, just because they're a little different doesn't mean they're dumber. But that does, like this movie's definitely making that judgment when it comes to the New York people coming to the dupes who live in the South.
Yeah. But they're just as, honestly, they're just as poor and trashy as these people. They're just from a different part of the country.
And that's exactly what I think when I see this movie. Like, that is exactly what I think. But I don't think they're making the same judgment call on Vinny and on the kids and on his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that they all, I don't think that same judgment is being placed on them, even though they are just as trashy.
So Stan is like super scared in the jail that he's going to be sexually assaulted by a Pesci's character and everything. Mm-hmm. But we really all know that Bill's going to be the one who'd be getting all the attention in jail.
Of course.
Come on now.
Dude.
Come on, Stan. You going to be like, you think that you're first on the plate? No. Little Macchio's getting it all day long.
Of course. I mean, why go for the nuggets when there's steak just down the buffet? I mean,
yeah, go hurl past that pizza and get over to the brisket, will you?
Please. With that hairline, get out of here.
Speaking of hairlines, my next prompt was, how amazing is Pesci's hairpiece?
It's not. It's so bad. It looks like, you know what it looks like? It looks like the guy who's part of the E Street Band who's in The Sopranos. That's what that hairpiece looks like to me.
100%. It's up there. I love every moment where he's just like, everything from sitting in bed to, it just looks like it's hovering there on its own little volition, like a wind could come by and rip it right off if you're not careful.
Yes, absolutely.
He looks like he's adjusting it every now and then. There's not a gray piece in it. It's a lovely hair color that's not really found in nature or anything. It's great bad. It's great bad, and there are a couple scenes where it, like, the hairline right at the hairline is looking super rough, but they're like, whatever, who cares? But I wonder if he was doing a lot like I forget there's a couple of guys. Robert Forster's one of them. Robert Forster was losing his hair in his 20s and stuff, and made fun of it in movies like Alligator and shit like that. But there were movies like him and John Saxon and stuff who would go around and like give their directors like a choice of hair.
Uh-huh.
They were like, okay, what hair would you like me in this film? And and I wonder if Pesci is like that, just like, let me check out the wigs in this film and tell you which one I want.
Better that than, I guess, than, like the Shatner or the Burt Reynolds, for that matter, of the.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm not wearing a hairpiece.
Huh? No. Yeah, Travolta for so many years.
Right. Although Travolta's was great for a while until it wasn't.
Yeah, and then it was just like, ooh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm bald because it's just more freeing being bald is what it is. It's not that
but there were a couple of years where he was totally passing.
Oh yeah.
But not anymore.
He's got a giant head. I think that kind of helps.
They all have giant heads, man.
That's true. Who don't have a giant head though is Marissa Tomei, who I wrote. Good Lord, that's my only note right there.
Oh, sir.
Holy cow.
Holy cow. She's the best part of the movie. Not even close. Gorgeous. She's doing a perfect job playing this character. They have tried to recreate this character with a million other actresses who look like her, and none of them even come remotely close. Like that character on Friends, Janice.
Yeah.
They're trying so hard to get her energy, and they just can't do it.
Yeah, Tomei's got just something special going on to where she's just, you get an Academy Award for this movie, for crying out loud. So.
Yeah. And I mean, my favorite scene is my favorite line in this movie, and she just nails it so hard when they're on the porch of that cabin, and she goes, and my biological clock is ticking like this. And it is literally perfection. The lines, the delivery, the actress, what that actress is wearing. If you are a red-blooded American male, that scene does a lot for you.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing. She is truly, truly incredible in this movie. And I will say this too, is that when I was watching the top of this movie, you get in because it takes a while for them to drop the hammer on this movie. They linger a little bit.
Yeah, we sit around accusing them for a bit longer than we should be.
And I was kind of surprised by that. I'm glad. I want them to take their time. I want them to make the movie they're going to make. But there's a lot of free time happening here. But the second she shows up, and it's not even when Pesci shows up, it's when she shows up, the movie completely flips on its head. Every scene she's in, she elevates. She even elevates the entire movie when she is put on the stand. The movie goes from this movie's pretty good to this movie's amazing when they put her on the stand. It's just, I cannot say enough about this lady. It's the movie that made her a star. It totally should. And she had been in a bunch of stuff already, but nobody cared about the white girl from a different world.
Yeah.
It's when she's in this movie is literally where she's going to be a star forever.
Her and Pesci play along real well together.
She is, but they're playing along great because of her.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's able to, I feel like he's reining it in from his pesciness a bit when he's with her and everything, and it like I said, it works out.
Yeah, and I do think that Pesci has there's a thing with him where if he's with the right person, he's great. He's a great teammate to be with. If he's bouncing off of someone else.
Yeah.
Thinking of him in Lethal Weapon, thinking of him in the Home Alone movies. He's if he's one of two people, he's great.
Exactly. Yeah. He's got to have that kind of the yin to his yang there to kind of to even him out there and everything. Because if you give him, if he was just like the sole, wet bandit in the movie, it's not as good.
Not even close.
You got to have that person to play off of and the guy to drive him nuts and get him to that level and everything. You got to have the wind up man.
Yeah.
Let's see what's I put. I see lard going down on the flat top. I know that breakfast is going to be bussin'. Tell it they look like, oh no. And I'm like, oh hell yeah, that's going to be good. Whatever this man is cooking up is going to be good.
The only part that they didn't get right about that diner or any of the diners in this, in the entire movie is that they're forgetting that all the lights in diners, like Southern diners, are all yellow.
Yeah, that's true.
It is a very warm thing that they're trying to give off. And all of these diners are cold lit. And I think that's a mistake, but that's the only thing that they got wrong.
But I do swear that this movie is how most non-Southerners found out what grits are. I contend that. I think that's a true statement.
The only reason why I knew what grits were before this movie is because I worked in grocery stores as a kid.
Okay.
And I didn't. I mean, I knew they were a breakfast food. We would stock them next to the oatmeal, but I don't remember. I had no interest. There's no interest in it.
Well, the weird thing is that while I pretty much grew up in the South and everything, we weren't that kind of traditional Southern family or anything. So grits weren't really a thing. But we tried grits was over. That was like the daycare experience, right? So we go to daycare and stuff. If you went there early, they would have like a piece of toast that's honestly is some of the best buttered toast you've ever seen in your entire life. I don't know why that was a thing, but it's that's still in my memory. It's damn, that toast was good. And then a bowl of grits and stuff. And we were much like Pesci and this going what the hell are we working with here? But eventually it's just if you doctor them up with a gajillion things, then they're fine. But you got to give them a little bit of personality because a little salt and pepper doesn't always do the trick. I'll say that.
Right. This is one of the things that I think that people from the area of I don't know if this happens specifically in other parts of the world, but in America, this seems to be very specific of this is the thing that we do really great. Right. So you got the barbecue in the South and in the Midwest and, that kind of thing. But when it comes to those regions, what people from those regions tend to not understand is that people from other regions don't care about your thing. If I go there, sure, I'll try this thing, but that's about it, right? How much do you really care about a Philly cheesesteak? Yeah. Or, how much do you really care about a fluffernutter?
Oh, that you can forget that. Who gives a
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So whenever somebody is talking about oh, but the grits here are better than that, I'm I don't care.
Oh, what the thing in the South that I still don't get, and it just makes me just jump off a cliff is boiled peanuts. I'm what is wrong with you people?
Yeah, boiled peanuts are gross.
I'm just why is this? And that's only a step away from the Southern gentleman that will be putting peanuts and stuff inside of his Coca-Cola or Pepsi.
Man, I had a guy. I had a buddy who did that. He was oh, you ever tried peanuts in your Coke? I did it one time. I was this, I don't understand what the big deal is here, but okay.
Our driver's ed teacher, Coach Gauze, he would be rocking that one on every trip. And
classic Gauze.
And stealing, because Tony, we had a friend Tony. He was 18 when we were 15, so that she's a little bit behind. He's a sweet guy. He has a child today, which is a frightening thought. But he would always, Coach Gauze would just be ripping the wheel away from him and stuff, and smashing the back of his seat rest there, and just going, you hit another kid, son. And it, of course, only made Tony drive worse. So it was me and my buddy Chris were sitting in the back just going I want to live. Pesci's leather blazer, amazing.
It is.
Love it so much. It feels like Pesci picked all these things out himself.
I think everything except for the suit that he gets from the secondhand store.
Oh, yeah. That for sure was not his choice there. But everything from his rings boots, and the bracelets and all the jewelry and everything of which he's wearing all the time, which I love. Yeah. You're wearing all your fucking jewelry to bed. What are you doing? It's insane.
Yeah, that's insanity.
Love it.
I thought this time around I would like the suit that he was wearing, but no, it's still, they really did a good job with that suit because it's he's like a ringmaster or something.
He's like a maitre d'.
But it's got tails and stuff.
Yeah, a fancy maitre d' at either a big fancy restaurant or an old school movie theater where he's an usher and everything.
Maroon corduroy suit.
Lovely. Lane Smith, the evil coach from the Mighty Ducks, is here. An amazing Southern lawyer. God, he's so good.
He really is, man. And he's always this guy too. When you need this guy, when that actor starts smiling, you're oh, he's up to something, this guy.
He's got his little statements there, and that, ladies and gentlemen, just clapping his hands and all these kinds of things. And it's just I know this dude. I have met a million of these dudes, and like it is just absolutely perfect. It feels like we just plucked him out of the country and everything. But yeah, we've seen him in so many things, so we know he's acting. It's so good.
Yeah.
I got getting Vinny to understand procedures is like getting sixth graders to do anything. It's wildly close to the lectures that I've had to give kids of what Vinny gets. They just don't understand. If you had any clue of how like just stop talking does not work anymore. Every kid has to have a one more word, one more. It's like, just shut up, just say, just do the one thing I want you to do, the one thing, and they can't do it. And I'm just like, I felt that judge all day long during this scene. I'm just like, my God, it's so familiar. But those kids are 11, not 55.
I think they did a really good job in the script with this movie, though, of showing the progress that Vinny's making throughout the trial. You know, because he literally knows nothing that first day that he walks in. And by the end, he might not be the best, but the best lawyer in the world, but like he gets it now, and you know that like, oh, he's going to get even better the next. We
make a joke of like, you know, him getting the book and everything, but like he does take it serious.
Yeah, he does. He's reading it at night.
Yeah, he realizes like, hey, somebody actually is counting on me for this, and he's actually stepping up for what seems like one of the first few times in his life.
Well, you know, they do the same thing with him earlier where with the suit that I was talking about, you know, the ringmaster suit where he walks in and like, are you making fun of me? You know, and he has that great line where he goes, so I'm wearing this ridiculous suit for you. I know how much you hate the leather jacket. So I'm wearing this ridiculous suit for you. And it's like, oh, wow. Like that's a really great character moment.
And he delivers it so well because it feels like that character is just like, listen, I don't want to do any of these things. I'm very comfortable doing the stuff that I'm used to, but these are the rules that I've been set with, and I've had a setback. So in order for me to make sure that I'm on your good side, which is what I want to do, I've done this thing. Could, for the love of God, get off my back. I'm trying my best. The next one, he comes in something, you know, he comes in a better outfit.
Yeah. And it's a great moment for that character, and bravo to the writers.
You know, it's again thinking about it too, just going like, well, that is true. He is actually doing what I told him to do. It may not be ideal, but he is doing it.
Yeah.
Now, I've never had a record scratch when I walk into a bar, but have you ever walked into a place where it feels like that's actually happened to you? You walk in, it seems like everybody's going, what the hell are you doing here? I haven't had that. My dad did have one once that he told me about. There was a
your rope. Me.
All right. Well, they can hear. We'll try to see if we can do. But my dad once went into I don't know, it wasn't a bar. It was kind of more like a restaurant kind of thing. It was like for truckers, really. Where you walk in and he's just like, I've never been to a place where I've just walked in and it looked like every single person in the entire place started looking at me. And I'm just like, oof, couldn't have any of that. So the bit where they're actually trying to get a $200 back and everything is the funniest part of the fight during the negotiations, everything. He stops during the middle of all of it and looks over at a guy that we've never seen before by the pool table. He's got a giant neck brace on. He just goes, hey, somebody rear-end you? And when the guy just goes, I fell, the look of disappointment on Pesci's face is so good.
Yeah, it is.
That little, hey, I did some injury work and stuff, but it's always in the back of his head. So just like right in the middle of the negotiation. Hey, wait a second. Can I get a little something off of you?
You follow house or at work?
It's like, oh, in your house? That's no good. You mentioned the background kind of music and stuff like that. Why does it always sound like they're trying to rip off the Eagles' Desperado?
Because that's clearly they use as like track, or like make it sound like this.
Do 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 do, and you're like, oh man, this is awful. But I do like how Macchio just goes, hey, look, my uncle here knew how to see through a children's magic show. Ergo, he's capable of being our lawyer. Makes nothing but sense.
There's a lot of that, though, right? Like that. They're even when Vinny himself is trying to convince Macchio stay his lawyer, and he's using playing cards as like bricks, you know, like the whole thing. It sort of felt like when Star Trek is at its best, where they try to explain to us the dummies, except it's another character trying to explain it to another character.
We got Vinny's giant white shoes. Your thoughts? Because all I could do is just go like, what's Sean think of these shoes?
I know what because he's from New York, right? Like,
yeah, I guess
he's got a pair of those. He's got a pair of Timberlands that he wears. He's got a pair of like something that's like Nike Air something. And then he's got a pair of cowboy boots, probably. Like, that's who this guy is. That's the kind of shoes he's going to have.
Mm-hmm. It just, I love the not sweaters my jam. And everything. So great.
They're right. And I mean, that's a very specific kind of New Yorker. And I know people like that, but it's just not my style. But I also don't think it's a bad look either. You know, it's like, remember how crazy Bruce was about the way people were dressed in the Fast and the Furious movies. And he's like, they look ridiculous. And I'm like, they look like people from the West Coast. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, with the long shorts and stuff. I'm like, yes, that's literally how everybody on the West Coast dresses. Yes. and he was like, oh, well, it looks ridiculous. I was like, well, maybe to you. Yes.
Listen, bro, I'm just going to go get some waves, man. Hope you don't mind.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is about like leisure and comfort, right? Yeah. It's the West Coast. That's what they do.
If someone gives you you want to fight, I think the best way to do it is like Vinny and just punch the shit out of the guy right away. It's
the only way you're going to get away with it if you're Vinny. Yeah. Like that guy, that character actor who's in everything, literally everything. He could have taken Joe Pesci out in a minute.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, exactly. You got to sucker punch real fast and run the hell out of there for sure.
And he didn't even punch him, right? He like flying body tackles him.
It's a bam, and then just kind of takes the money and splits. That's how you gotta handle it. Lane Smith's reading of High Anus Crime is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, so good.
Let's see. The Stuttering Public Defender. How bad would you want to die if this guy was defending you?
Well, first, he would never be a public defender, right? I mean, if you have a speech impediment, they're not going to let you practice law, at least not in a courtroom.
Hey, listen, all he had to do was just come up with a better alias than Pesci did.
Yeah, but I thought that it was a good way of getting, because they keep doing that too in the movie, where you're like, well, why don't they go with the public defender, right? So if public defender shows up, and then there's a reason why they can't use this guy anymore, because he stutters.
Yeah, I mean, it's as good a trope fix as you're gonna get, you know,
for real. Yeah. And also, you know, because you do have those moments in the movie where you're like, okay, so why is this happening? And then they answer it for you. That happens a couple of times, right?
Yeah, it's smart enough to like think about those things and know that you're going to have those questions.
Because I still had that, because I had that question about Marissa Tomei in this movie too. Like, why would she be with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And they answer that.
We got him on the grits contingency. I thought that was pretty awesome to, like, again, a nice little bit to where we had the grit scene at the beginning and everything. And it does at the time seem like, okay, this is just us schooling these dumb, you know, New Yorkers here about, you know, Southern food and everything. But no, there's a little bit of something else that comes into play. And then they're like, oh, we can actually, you know, guess how long you were doing things based upon this. And it shows that, you know, Vinny is resourceful. He is a guy who, like, you know, despite his kind of lackadaisical thing on many a thing, when he wants to, he can try.
Yeah, well, because he's a great arguer, right? Mm-hmm. That's what Macchio keeps saying throughout the movie. He oh boy, let me tell you, our family, we're great arguers, and he's the best. I am so surprised. I must say, I am very, very surprised that this was not turned into a television series.
Yeah,
because this feels like a USA show all day. You know, somebody who's like, they don't have a whole lot of schooling, but man, they got their wits about him. And, you know, he's the best, except he's not so great at being a lawyer, but he's the best, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 90s were also pretty chock-a-block full of with things like that for sure, though. I did put down the trial is better than 90% of the courtroom dramas on TV.
Oh, without a doubt, man. The courtroom is the best part of this movie, which I can't say about a whole lot. I mean, we just watched Daredevil, Born Again. The court stuff in Daredevil is pretty poor.
Yeah,
and I know that they use My Cousin Vinny in law school to show you how things actually work, like, as an introductory to law kind of a thing.
Yeah, don't be Joe Pesci.
Right.
Or be him in some weird ways. But yeah, it works. It's good enough with everything. It gives you enough kind of lawyery stuff like that. I wonder how much this movie bothers lawyers.
I don't think it does. I think that lawyers like this movie a lot.
Yeah, I guess because it is kind of like it never demeans lawyers in any way, which certainly for this time, between the 80s and 90s, we did nothing but shit on lawyers forever.
Well, right. And there's also the process, right? Like the process stuff in this movie is all correct. There's not a moment in this movie where you're like, that would never happen.
Yeah, they had the appropriate, like, here's where, you're giving your plea and all that kind of good stuff. And so but again, there's that great little line of like, we've got these procedures, we've got ways that we do things around here, and that's how life works, everybody.
Yeah.
you got to figure stuff out, and sometimes you got to do the things that you may not necessarily want to do, but you needs to do them. That's all the major notes. And just the end of driving off into the horizon with your old lady bitching at you seems about right.
Yeah, that is what the movie is. But and actually, it's that scene that made me go, I'm surprised they didn't turn this into a series.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of surprising. One of my notes, the only note that we haven't hit yet. What is the noise they're using for that owl? That is not what an owl sounds like in real life. What is that? Who went, oh, okay.
Listen, if you can't afford Ben Burt, you're gonna, get some shoddy work done. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, just get a recording from your bank of sounds of an owl.
Oh, see, you ever seen Brian De Palma's Blowout? See, the beginning of that movie, they're trying to also put some noises and stuff in there, but they're no good. He's sick of all the catalog noises, so he's got to go out and get some new sound and everything, and accidentally witnesses an assassination. But
that's a different thing. like
you don't think that happened on this film?
Well, there's certain directors that hate using the sound library, and I totally understand that. This is not one of those movies when the soundtrack sounds the way it does.
Should have been a Wilhelm scream somewhere in here.
Well,
I don't know where you'd put it, but just throw it in there. Why not?
When Joe Pesci body slams that redneck.
Oh yeah, woo! Perfect. Well, now if you did have to recast this role for Ralph Macchio, who do you got?
It's gotta be a baby face, right? It's gotta be somebody that you don't for a second believe that they might have actually murdered the guy in the convenience store.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's 92, right? So Michael J. Fox could do it. Jason Bateman could do it. All your Teen Wolves could do it. I don't know who else.
Line me up another Teen Wolf, please.
No, I said Teen Wolf. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head because I'm trying to think of babyface actors that could totally play this role in 92, and I can't think of a ton because come around 92 is when you start getting all of the moody Christian Slaters of the world.
Yeah, that's you couldn't put Christian Slater in this role for sure because you'd think he did it.
Of course, or River Phoenix.
He did it.
Keanu Reeves. There's not a ton.
I put down. I think that falls quite into this category. John Cryer.
Oh, that's a really good one.
I think John Cryer would probably be a pretty decent fill for this role.
That's really good. Yeah, John Cryer could totally pull this. So that's better than Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox also kind of like too handsome and charismatic to where you'd think that he would probably out-talk the police.
Yeah, it's true. And also he fits in your pocket.
Yeah. You're not going to think that guy went and started killing people.
No.
Doesn't make no sense.
No.
Because we didn't have we still haven't quite figured this out here. We'll just go 5 stars out of that system here and everything. What do you think for My Cousin Vinny?
I'm going to go with 4 stars for this, and the reason being is it's all her, right? Like, this movie is pretty standard. I do love the courtroom stuff, but the movie is ratcheted to 11 once you get Marissa Tomei on the stand. The second she's on that stand, you go from like, I kind of like this movie to I love this movie. And she's just so dynamic in this. I think she totally deserved to win the Oscar for this, because they've tried to recreate this character a million times, and only Marissa Tomei can do it.
And so we need more actors getting Oscars for roles that are like this, that aren't just cry fests and stuff like. And I like the cry fest. Don't get me wrong. There's certain things when you see me, I was just like, when I saw Anne Hathaway in Les Mis, I was just like, yep, she getting an Oscar for that. Like, I knew right away. But like, to have one that's in like a comedy kind of thing, it's so rare for that to happen. I feel like we need more of that, but we also need better acting in some comedies these days as well, I suppose. And
there should be some comedies being made.
Oh yeah, well,
there's that too.
There's that. For me, I'm going just a solid 4 as well. You can't get it quite up to 5, but it's certainly no less than 4, just because this is a fantastic kind of hangout movie.
Yeah, it is.
You want to like meet up with these characters and stuff, and everybody's got a little bit of something else. And honestly, just because Macchio's probably got the least amount of everybody as far as like a little something on his character.
This is the thing that I could say to totally recommend this movie, is that I kind of had to force myself to actually sit down and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start watching it, you're like, oh, right, I really do love this movie.
Yeah, you're hanging out with folks and just kicking around in this brand new town and everything, and you could do a lot worse with your time. I'll say that much. Mm-hmm. So big recommendations on that, everybody. So we are almost at the end of Mucho Ralph Macchio, but we got one more film. We need to head out to the theater to see Karate Kid Legend, starring Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio. See, and I'm also kind of like we're putting it together, because we did our Jackie Chan month, a couple months back and everything. Ralph Macchio's worlds colliding, and then after that, no more Ralph Macchio unless he does something amazing.
I can't wait. I can't wait to be out the other side of Mucho Ralph Macchio month.
Well, don't worry, everybody, because remember, you can go over to patreon.com/HMP, pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and, of course, vote on the movies that we are going to be watching for next month and everything. So get that going in. Remember, we're looking at genre Meryl Streep, Burt Reynolds Drives, Margot Robbie, Brian Cox, Joan Cusack, or Eddie Murphy. A lot of great, amazing choices there. And I look, any way you look at it, I think June's going to be looking like a good month based on those actors right there.
I think, I mean, it's the thing that's best about these actors is that there's not a single one of them where you're like, well, they've only got the one thing.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we could do multiple months on many of these people as well, which is pretty flippin' awesome. So join us here next week for that. Anything you'd like to plug?
Nah, I'm good.
That'll do it, everybody. Go check us out over on the YouTube channel there as well. Since I got Memorial Day off, I'll be recording up some things and putting up there as well, because I've got things written. I just haven't actually had time to sit and record them and everything like that. Sure. So do check out all that kind of good stuff. That is it. Join us when we conclude our Mucho Ralph Macchio movie marathon with a trip to the cinema to see the latest Karate Kid Legend, starring Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio. For Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet, the absent Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portras, reminding you to go out and watch some movies, you dirty babies.